Hello, my friends. I have a beautiful portfolio website to share with you today that's doing really well in the current competitive job market. So we have a lot to learn from this one. We're going to take a look at it together and see what kind of actionable takeaways you can start applying to your own portfolio website and projects. So as you probably know by now, building a strong portfolio is one of the best ways that you can increase your earning potential in the field and just land more opportunities overall. And that's why I'm showing you the portfolio we're about to look at, because it's the perfect example of a portfolio that's going to do a lot of work for you and really make a difference in your instructional design career. So let's take a look at it together. We are on Brandy Muse's portfolio website here. Brandy is transitioning from education and is in some final interviews and negotiations, as well as working on some freelance projects. So yeah, she's going to update us within the next couple of weeks what she decides to take. But I can say these are some of the most well-paying and well-respected roles in the industry. So this portfolio is doing a lot of really good work for her. So let's see what we can learn from it. Immediately when we land on the website, we can see that Brandy knows a thing or two about visual design. You can see we have this grid, which isn't super attention drawing like in and of itself, but it does communicate a really strong eye for visual design, a really good understanding of grids and shape, and hierarchy as well. We can see, we know exactly whose website we're on right here. And Brandy uses a nice typography here as well that has some personality. It's this nice serif font that has some sophistication to it as well. So you can definitely do that. Instead of just sticking with one font throughout your entire site, you can combine a nice display font for your headings, your big bold headings, and then you can use a sans serif font that's more digital friendly for your subheadings or your paragraphs and things like that. So really well done. If we scroll down, we can immediately see Brandy's featured projects. So we have this like centered layout going here, and we're going to take a look at these projects in a bit, but I just want you to notice the hierarchy here and the text and copy that Brandy is using. So we can see here we have an interactive video resume. We know exactly what that is, right? It's very clear. And then look at the subheading 2. Find out why you should work with me in 2 minutes. So clear, so concise. If I were writing something like this, I would have wound up writing like multiple sentences or basically adding too much, where Brandy is giving us just enough and letting us know exactly what the deliverable is and why we should take a look at it. Feedback that works. Okay, what's that? An e-learning experience for new managers. So really clear. Also notice just some subtle visual design elements. So notice we have a shape here just to add some personality, make this site a bit more unique. And we're keeping with these like these sharp lines, kind of like we have with this grid. So we have that cohesion as well. Even though this is like a totally different layout, we still have some of these repeated design elements. And notice too, with this pattern kind of guiding us down the page and pointing down the page, it's guiding our eye, and again, also adding to the polished look and feel of this website. And it just, again, emphasizes Brandy's attention to visual design. Also going back up to the hero section, notice, Brandy has a nice professional photograph or headshot, and it looks like Brandy desaturated it or made it black and white, just to make it fit with the site's color scheme a bit more and make it so that it doesn't draw too much attention over Brandy's face. So that was a good design decision as well. Also, what struck me landing on this site, which I think is kind of cool, is that it feels like a PDF almost, because we don't have like pure white space in here. We have this confined width, and then we just have this white space on the sides. It almost feels like I'm in Adobe Acrobat or something and I'm scrolling down a PDF. And I think that works really well for this type of portfolio website because, you know, as professionals and even in the academic space, we're working a lot with PDFs. So it feels really familiar and it feels really professional. So I think this is a really cool way to use this confined width like that. And again, it feels really, really familiar. So we have this flagship project here, this e-learning experience for new managers, and then we have this stages of grief project. So again, we'll take a look at each of those, but I just want to go down the home page because again, generally this page will do a lot of work for you if you do it well. So here we have testimonials. In these portfolio reviews, you've probably been seeing this more and more, and it works really well. But what Brandy did differently that I haven't seen before, but I think again just speaks to her information design skills. Notice how Brandy pulls out these pieces from the testimonial. Her growth mindset propels her to tackle challenges in search of better solutions. So instead of just putting this whole testimonial here, which I admit I do, I'll just put, a 3-paragraph testimonial and expect people to read it, even though they probably won't. Brandy just pulls out a really powerful, hard-hitting sentence from the testimonial. And notice she does this with each of them. EBR, which is this client, benefited greatly from Brandy's adaptability. Brandy has a creative approach to solving training problems. So really good hierarchy, really good signaling almost. It's kind of like Brandy's telling us, like, here's a really important sentence from this testimonial if you don't have time to read the whole thing. So I don't know if I've seen this before. I think it is so smart to do for testimonials. So if you have a testimonial section, take notes because I think this would work really well. Not counting, we have all this other information too. We have the nice photo headshots. We have the people's names and titles as well, so we can know who is giving that testimonial. And then if we scroll down, we have the nice full color call to action, really inviting, and it's let's talk. So ready to change the game? I'd love to connect with you and your team. So really nice call to action that invites us to reach out to Brandy about potential project work or even hiring Brandy full-time. So I think it's a really well done homepage. Again, some really cool design elements that we don't see a lot of, and not even counting the logo. I mean, look at how nice the logo is. One suggestion I might have is when using it in this setting, maybe taking away the Brandy and LXD. I don't know. I do think it's really cool, but I imagine it could be really small on some monitors, and on mine it already is quite small. So really minor thing, but I think it is really cool with those pieces as well. So a nice creative logo also. So let's dive into some of these projects, right? The projects are usually a lot of fun. So I'm going to open each of these, and then we will go to the video resume one. So I'm going to click on it. Notice this one does not have a write-up, so we can't learn more about how or why Brandy created it, but it just brings us right into the project. I've already viewed it, that's why it's giving me the option to resume, but I'm just going to restart it here.
Hi, I'm Brandy. Thank you for viewing my resume. I'm a learning experience designer with a focus in...
So I'm not going to show you the whole thing, but it is really cool because Brandy does a brief introduction, and then Brandy says, basically, I'm not going to waste your time. You tell me exactly what you want to hear from me. And then we have some choices about what we actually want to hear from Brandy about her experience or about who she is. So it's really cool. It's kind of like a mini interview before the interview for us to learn more about Brandy. So I think that was a really smart idea. If you're in the Storyline Project Lab, you might have seen that as one of like the homework assignments or recommendations about making an interactive video resume. And I think Brandy executed a perfect example of this. So make sure you head on over to her site, brandymuse.com, if you want to check that out for yourself, but you can kind of see what the format is like from the thumbnail here. Feedback here. I think this works great. It's nice and easy. All the projects are in one place, but something like this may even have worked like embedded on Brandy's about page almost, or like some kind of option we could click on the about page to open this or video experience up even in either in a new tab or even embedded within the page that the person is on. That might have been a really cool, like immersive way to frame this. I think this still works really well. And if people take the time to do this, they will indeed find out why they should work with Brandy in 2 minutes. So again, check that out if you want to see a well-executed video resume. We're going to move on down to feedback that works. So this is Brandy's flagship project. Notice that she's repeating this design element for this hero section here, or this same section like she has on the homepage. And notice too, it's even mirrored in the nav bar. So just really well done, really, kind of breaking the mold, not using a straight vertical line, but a diagonal line that is just guiding us through each of these sections. And then notice it just turns the other way to guide us down the page. So really cool attention to detail there. But let's dive over here. This is the write-up page. So this is where we can learn more about Brandy's process for creating this project, which again, if you're new to these review series, that is just as important as the project itself. Hiring managers and potential clients want to see how you built the project just as much as they want to see the final project that you have built. So really important. Again, really good hierarchy here. If we scroll down, we can get a high-level view of the project. It's a scenario-based e-learning experience. It's for new managers. We can see the audience, we can see the tools used. This is really helpful, especially because a lot of positions are interested in the tools that you can use because e-learning is such a big part of the job these days. And then we can see Brandy's responsibilities on the project. And like a lot of portfolios, instead of just seeing it kind of like in a Word doc, just like a bold heading and then text right beneath it, notice the design elements that Brandy is using. So again, not everyone's just going to pick up a web design tool and, whip this together in a few minutes. This shows a clear, solid understanding of instructional design and a confidence in using these shapes and elements like this. So if you do have those visual design skills, this is a great way to show them off with to make your site more unique like this as well. Something I would like to see, like this is great, we do get into the problem and the solution, but I think it would have been really powerful here to use the same kind of signaling or hierarchy that Brandy used on for the testimonials. So notice how Brandy pulls out these important sentences from the testimonial. I think it would have been really cool to kind of have like a second tier heading here. So we have the full heading and then maybe like a 1 or 2 sentence summary of the problem, or again, maybe even 1 or 2 sentences pulled out from the problem in case we are scanning. Because realistically, a lot of the times when we are reviewing portfolios, we are going to be scanning. We're not going to be reading every word. If we do read every word, we want to make sure we have a really deep appreciation for your process. But in a lot of other places on Brandy's site, and we'll see some more, she just does such a good job at highlighting some of this important copy that if Brandy wanted to take the time, I think that it would be a nice thing to implement on this page as well. But overall, yeah, really, really nice use of these design elements, switching up the layout quite a bit, but all of them kind of work together. So yeah, again, just notice those repeated design elements. And then also sometimes, yeah, breaking just a static grid and using a pattern to make it a bit more playful, a bit more dynamic. So again, this isn't really visual design 101, but it is a great way to show off some more advanced visual design skills. So really cool, really well done. Again, highlighting a testimonial at the end of this write-up as well, I think is quite effective. And then we have this nice call to action to explore the project and actually see it for ourselves. So I'm not going to spend too much time on this. There are some cool elements of this as well. I'm just going to show you a quick demo, but you can hop in here and experience this one for yourself. Maybe let us know what you think of it in the comments below, what your favorite part of the project itself is. There are some really cool animations, some really nice copy, and just an engaging learning experience overall. So feel free to check out the Flagship Project if you would like to do that. I highly recommend that you do. And then the final project we're going to take a look at here is this Stages of Grief project. And notice this thumbnail here. It's kind of similar to this one, right? I can see there's some kind of learning experience with some rounded buttons on there. So I know I have some selections. So I'm going to probably suggest changing that image just to make it a bit more dynamic and like the types of learning experiences that we're showing off. And you'll see why, especially once we dive into the project. Because if you first look at this, you might think this is some kind of like click to reveal, like I'm going to click each thing and get some info about it. But there are actually some much cooler aspects to the project here. So this is a supporting project. It's not a huge project, but it is well done. So we do have the write-up, right? We do see who the audience is. We do see which tools are used. Again, I highly recommend doing that. And then we also have some more details about how the project was brought to life, not as in-depth as the other one, but I do want to actually show off this demo because I think it shows off some really cool multimedia skills, and it's not like super, super difficult to do. So there's some sound here, and there are also a lot of these full screen background images. So the sound is consistent throughout, right across slides. We have the same soundtrack. So there are 5 stages we progress through, but it's just a really nice immersive, like peaceful kind of experience we're going through with the sound, with these looping background videos. So I think this is really cool. So for showing it off, I mean, I think it would be really cool to have like a GIF on the home screen as the thumbnail and like have that be playing. Like I don't know how that would be, but if like there was the background video was moving in this image, I think that could be really cool. Or even showing off the title screen, I think that's nice and intriguing. It's like, oh, what do we have going on in this project? Let's take a look inside. So yeah, again, you can go through this on your own, but just a really nice project. You could see this being like a small mobile learning experience that someone takes on their phone. I could see this being commissioned by a nonprofit or something like that. So those are the projects. Again, let us know what you think, especially if you take the time to go through them. Let us know what your favorite parts about these are. And if you do find something in these projects that you're interested in taking away and applying to a project of your own, also let us know in the comments. I think you all will catch some things that I don't catch. So feel free to do that. So from here, let's take a look at the About page. So again, well done, full color visual here and some nice highlighted inspirational words. A beautiful design, holistic strategy, compassionate intelligence. I think that Brandy executes very well on all of those things. Like if you know Brandy or have worked with her, all of that is very true. And look, Brandy says this is what I aspire to. So it's nice, creative text and copy here. It's not, I don't think I've read this on anyone else's portfolio website before, for example, and it is really personal to Brandy. So that is really well done. And again, no surprise, we have that really good information design. Here's what you really need to know. I manage learning projects with the big picture in mind. Okay, nice. If I have someone managing my learning projects, I want them to have that big picture in mind. I'm highly educated in business, and I like that kind of juxtaposition, almost like education and business. It's like I'm educated in business. It's the best of both worlds. So really well done. And of course, you can read this white text as well if you want to get a bit more information. I'm fantastic with visuals. I've worked with multiple CEOs of startups, and I know how people think, learn, and are motivated. So just really clear copy. Notice Brandy could have made this so much more academic. She could have used words or phrases around her project management technique, about scope and terms like that. But she keeps the copy so conversational, so punchy, so direct and to the point that I think this is one of the best examples of an About page I've been on, just because of what she chose to highlight and then how she chose to highlight it. I think it is just, they kind of just both reinforce each other. So really cool. And then also Brandy added a bit from her personal life. Brandy talks about her kids, her family, her community, and then even some of her hobbies. So again, that's always a personal choice if you want to feature stuff about your personal life on here. I think if you're open to it, generally it's a good idea. It gives people more things to connect with you on, but of course that can work the other way as well. So that is a completely personal choice. There are some really minor things I noticed when I was spending time on this site. Like for example, at the bottom, if you are, you can see which page you're on because it is a different color. But if you scroll to the top, it isn't reflected in the top nav bar. I'm sure that's just a really quick fix that Brandy could do. And then I think like the portfolio one is a different color than the About and Contact ones. So again, a minor, and then that one actually does get highlighted at the top. So, and so does Contact, just not About. So really minor things. I'm sure once Brandy watches this video, Brandy will fix that. And I think the one other really tiny thing I noticed is that the logo changes position on the About page. So really minor things, but yeah, let me know what you think about the site and the projects. So Brandy joined the ID Bootcamp earlier this year, and my team and I have had the pleasure of working with Brandy on this website and these projects and giving her feedback as she goes and really just seeing what Brandy is capable of. So it's really cool now seeing the finished site and seeing how much it's doing for Brandy in the job market. So if you want to hear from Brandy about her experience building this site and working with us in the bootcamp, then I'm going to hand it over to her.
Hey, I'm Brandy, and I wanted to let you guys know how I created my portfolio website. So when I decided to pursue instructional design seriously, I knew there were two things that I really needed to know. I needed to know how to create great projects and upskill my ID abilities, and I also needed to know how to put those projects on a great website. So I knew that I wanted to have personalized feedback and one-on-one interaction with some professionals that knew what they were doing, that knew how to navigate this, because I really wanted, especially this portfolio, to be the best that it could be. This is the first point of contact for clients or hiring managers, and I want them to be able to know who I am clearly from this portfolio. So they're going to spend just a few seconds to figure out if they want to work with me or not. So the way that it was put together was super important to me. And that's why I chose to work with Devlin's Bootcamp. That's exactly what they do. They took my portfolio and my ideas and helped me figure out how to really create it in the way that hiring managers and clients would need to see it. I just didn't know how to translate that content, but they helped me out a lot with that. They also helped me with the Flagship Project that's on the portfolio too through the bootcamp. So that was really cool because I had the same people helping me to create these important projects that I could then bring together into a website that communicated exactly what I wanted to communicate to the people that needed to see it. So when I was developing it, I knew what I wanted it to look like visually. I had a good idea of the visuals, but I didn't know what elements to put on there or what information to put on there. So I got some really great advice about that. And there's some things on the site that wouldn't be there without that advice. Like my face, for instance. I didn't want my face so prominent on the website, like if at all. But then I discovered there's actually some strategy behind that. And there are good reasons why I might want to do that. And so I decided to put my face on it, and I'm really glad I did. And stuff like that was easier to do because I was also working with a broader community, these people who were going through the bootcamp too and creating their portfolios. And so it was like we're all taking these risks together. We're all helping each other and jumping in the cold water together. And that made it really fun, and it made me more confident, and it made it easier because I wasn't alone. And that made a big difference to me. So when people look at my website, they also ask what I used to build it, what web tool, what CMS. I chose Webflow. So Webflow is great because you're able to have a lot of control over the visual design, and I really wanted that. But I underestimated how difficult it would be. I don't code. I've never built this intricate of a website, so it's very hard, and I spent days and weeks trying to get this right, and I was actually about to give up. But before I threw in the towel, I decided to reach out to Nicole Stevens. She's one of the bootcamp pros who had been super helpful, really kind, and just very experienced and knew Webflow. So I said, hey, Nicole, I know this isn't a portfolio design issue. It's more, how do I use this web tool? But you think you could help me? And she was actually really excited and eager to get on a Zoom call. She's like, absolutely, I'll help you. And so that was really, really great because her help in that Zoom call actually worked. It made it so I could complete the website and I could translate exactly what was in my visual design into my portfolio. It felt like a miracle. It was wonderful. So I can't speak highly enough about the help and the intentionality of the people who helped me build this thing. But I think the best thing about this whole process, though, has been the response. I've gotten some great responses from clients or potential clients and hiring managers. They've said, your design is great. We really like how you've put this together. And even more than that, I like how I'm approached with greater respect than I was before. And that's because I've given them a reason to come in with respect. They see what I can do. They see the skills. And I feel like the portfolio does the heavy lifting there for me. I don't have to prove that I'm a professional. I'm treated like a professional right out of the gate. And so the portfolio came together super nicely. I'm really proud of it. And it's my foundation for getting into the doors of companies that really value innovation and creativity and high quality, which is exactly what I was going for. So I'm really glad I have this foundation to help me with my career.
So I hope you enjoyed hearing from Brandy. If you are interested in learning more about the bootcamp and joining it yourself, you can go to idbootcamp.com. We actually have the last launch of the year happening this week. It ends on Friday. So if you'd like to enroll, again, just head on over to idbootcamp.com. And beyond that, make sure you show Brandy some love. You can connect with Brandy on LinkedIn. We'll link to that in the description. And I'm sure Brandy will post there once she lands her new role. So if you're invested in the journey and you want to see where Brandy winds up, again, follow her on LinkedIn and check out her site, right? There's so much to learn from this site. So brandymuse.com. We will also link that in the description. Make sure you show Brandy some love. Thanks for making it to the end of this video. And I will either see you in the bootcamp or I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.